Level 1. Sunday League. You pay €5 a week for the privilege of getting kicked in the shins. It's 7:30 a.m. on a Sunday morning in Slovakia. The sky is the color of wet concrete, and the frost on the pitch crunches under your boots. The pitch is half mud, half frozen grass, and the white lines look like they were painted by someone walking backward. Your boots are hand-me-downs, the tape around the toe box holding the sole together. You're shivering in a kit that's 2 sizes too big, smelling heavily of damp polyester and cheap laundry detergent. There are no scouts here. There are barely any spectators, just a couple of shivering parents holding thermal flasks, shouting tactical advice that makes absolutely no sense. The referee is a bald man with dot-like eyes and a simple, unreadable face. He blows a whistle that sounds like a dying bird, and the chaos begins. The game is entirely physical. Tactics don't exist. It's just 22 kids chasing a violently overinflated ball like a pack of stray dogs. You get elbowed in the ribs by a kid twice your size. You fall into a puddle of freezing mud. You taste dirt and copper. But then, the ball drops to your feet. For 3 seconds, the freezing cold disappears. You drop your shoulder, glide past a lunging defender, and hit the ball with everything you have. It hits the back of the net. Well, it goes through a massive hole in the net and rolls into a ditch. The bald referee points to the center circle. A goal. You feel a surge of pure, unfiltered electricity. It's a drug. And in that freezing, miserable mud, you become addicted. You tell yourself you're going to make it. You have absolutely no idea what making it actually requires. Level 2. The Academy Prospect. The game is no longer just a game. It is a factory, and you are the product on the assembly line. You're 14 now. You were scouted after scoring 30 goals in a single local season. The transition is violent. You go from being the best player in your town to being devastatingly average in a room full of prodigies. The training complex looks like a science facility. Manicured pitches that look like pool tables, GPS trackers in your sports bras, cameras recording your every touch. The coaches don't yell like the Sunday League dads. They speak in quiet, clinical tones while writing on clipboards. That clipboard dictates your future. You learn that talent is the absolute bare minimum required to just walk through the door. What keeps you inside is obsession. You spend your evenings kicking a ball against a brick wall until the streetlights flicker off. You miss school trips, you miss parties, your diet is monitored. You are a teenager living the life of a monk, worshiping at the altar of the beautiful game. Then comes release day. It happens at the end of every season. The waiting room feels like death row. You watch kids you've played with for years walk out of the manager's office in tears, their dreams quietly executed in a 5-minute conversation. You're just not physical enough. We don't see a pathway for you. Your turn comes. The manager doesn't look up from his desk. We're keeping you on for another year, but you need to work on your weaker foot. You nod. You survive. But the romance is dead. You realize this isn't a fairy tale. It's a meat grinder. You are one bad injury or one growth spurt away from being discarded. You learn to play with a cold, desperate fear. Level 3. Semi-professional. The academy dream died when you were 19. A new manager came in, brought his own players, and suddenly you were surplus to requirements. You were dropped into the wilderness of the lower leagues. You are playing in the 4th division. The stadiums are just metal stands and a burger van. The crowds are small, but they are hostile. They are grown men who have worked 40 hours a week on construction sites, and they spend their Saturdays screaming absolute abuse at you. The money is a joke. You make enough to cover your petrol and maybe a few groceries, so you work a part-time job in a warehouse. You are stacking boxes at 6 a.m., your hamstrings screaming from the match the night before. You smell permanently of deep heat and sweat. The football here isn't beautiful. It is warfare. You are a 19-year-old kid playing against 32-year-old veterans who know every dark art in the book. They step on your toes during corners. They pinch your ribs. When you try to dribble, a center back named Gary, who looks like a bouncer, cleanly 2-foots you into the advertising hoardings. The referee waves play on. You question everything. Why are you doing this? Your friends from school are graduating university, getting real jobs, going on vacations. You are sitting on a freezing coach for 4 hours on a Tuesday night to play a 0-0 draw in the pouring rain. But you refuse to quit. You use the anger. You adapt. You hit the gym until you can take the tackles. You learn to play faster, to release the ball half a second before the brutal tackle arrives. You become hardened. You become a machine. And slowly, the local papers start mentioning your name. Level 4. The Breakout Star. It happens in the Domestic Cup. Your gritty, lower league side is drawn against a championship team. It's the biggest game of your life. The stadium has actual floodlights. There are TV cameras. For the first 60 minutes, you are chasing shadows. The opposition is faster, smarter, fitter, but in the 78th minute, a loose ball falls to you 30 yards from goal. You don't think. Thinking takes too long. Muscle memory, forged by tens of thousands of hours hitting that brick wall, takes over. You strike it. The ball dips, swerves, and crashes in off the underside of the crossbar. The noise is deafening. It's a physical force that hits you in the chest. You don't even know how to celebrate. You just run until your lungs burn. That goal changes your life in 48 hours. The clip goes viral. Suddenly, your phone is ringing. Agents, men in sharp suits who smell like expensive cologne and empty promises are blowing up your DMs. A month later, the transfer window opens. You are bought by a second-division club. You sign your first real professional contract, you quit the warehouse, you buy your parents a new car. The feeling of driving to a training ground and knowing that playing football is your actual, legal profession is intoxicating. But the slope just got steeper. Level 5, the Premier Division. You helped your team win promotion. You are now playing in the top flight. The difference between the second tier and the first tier isn't just skill, it's the speed of thought. If you take an extra touch here, you are dispossessed. If you make a mistake, it isn't just groaned at by a few hundred people. It is analyzed from 6 different camera angles on national television by retired pros who mock your positioning. The locker room politics are intense. You are sharing a pitch with internationals. Some of them earn in a week what your dad earned in a decade. There are cliques. There are egos that take up all the oxygen in the room. You have imposter syndrome every time you put on the training kit. But you find your rhythm. You realize that underneath the designer gear and the massive salaries, it's still the same game. You run harder than them. You want it more than them because you remember the warehouse. You remember the freezing mud. You score your first top-flight goal against a massive club. You slide on your knees toward the corner flag. 60,000 people screaming your name. The adrenaline is a tidal wave. You are featured on the front pages of sports sections. Kids are wearing shirts with your name on the back. But fame is a poison disguised as a gift. You can't go to a restaurant without being filmed. When you have a bad game, your social media mentions are a cesspool of death threats and abuse from people who lost a bet on your team. You have to build a psychological fortress just to survive the mental toll. Level 6. International Superstardom. You are sold to one of the biggest clubs in the world. The transfer fee is absurd. It's GDP of a small island money. You step out onto the pitch for your Champions League debut. The stadium is a cathedral. When the anthem plays, that famous choir singing in the cold night air, the hair on your arm stands up. You look across the pitch and see players you used to play with on FIFA. Now you are tasked with destroying them. You get called up to the national team. You are no longer just playing for a club. You are carrying the hopes of an entire nation. When you score, the country riots in joy. When you miss a penalty, you are a national disgrace. The pressure is crushing. The calendar is inhumane. You are playing 60 games a season. League games, cup games, European nights, international breaks. You live in hotels and airports. Your body is held together by cortisone injections, ice baths, and a team of physiotherapists who manipulate your joints just so you can walk down the stairs in the morning. You have millions in the bank. You have trophies in the cabinet, but you are isolated. You don't know who your real friends are anymore. Everyone wants something from you. An investment, a ticket, a shout-out. You exist inside a gilded cage of unimaginable wealth and extreme physical suffering. Yet when you step onto the pitch for a cup final, when the whistle blows and the ball rolls, all the noise vanishes. For 90 minutes, the world makes sense. For 90 minutes, you are exactly where you were born to be. The geometry of the pitch, the movement of your teammates, the roar of the crowd, it is a symphony and you are the lead instrument. Level 7. The Veteran. You are 34. In normal life, you are a young man. In football years, you are a dinosaur. You've lost half a yard of pace. The things your brain tells your body to do take a fraction of a second longer to execute. And in this game, a fraction of a second is a lifetime. You watch 19-year-old kids come into the squad, kids who grew up idolizing you, and you realize they are faster, stronger, and completely fearless. You transition from the star to the mentor. You spend more time on the bench. You learn to read the game perfectly because your legs can no longer bail you out of bad positioning. Then comes the final game. You announce your retirement. The stadium is packed. They hold up banners thanking you. When you are substituted in the 89th minute, the standing ovation is deafening. Grown men are crying. Your teammates hug you. You walk off the grass for the last time as a professional. You sit in the empty locker room hours later. The stadium is silent. You take off your boots. Your knees ache. Your ankles pop. You look at the pristine boots and suddenly, your mind flashes back 25 years. You aren't in a super stadium anymore. You are back on a freezing, frost-covered pitch in Slovakia. You smell the damp polyester. You see the bald referee with the dot eyes. You feel the absolute pure joy of kicking a ball into a broken net just for the love of it. You survived the machine. You conquered the summit. You gave the game your youth, your body, and your peace of mind. And as you walk out of the tunnel and into the rest of your life, you know one thing for certain. You would do it all over again in a heartbeat.